right, so here's what he's doing is he's just rolling this piece out of the way and digging his way out. So good morning, and well, actually afternoon now. Welcome back to Boisterous Cock Farmstead, and just want to show you a couple things I got going on outside, and then what I'm working on today on the inside. And we've got somebody who has expressed interest in buying a pig, and so I need to kind of move a couple pigs around here so that I can get them ready to be finished, get at least the one ready to be finished, and I'll put another one in there with them so they're not alone. Don't get your muddy snouts on me. They've been rooting around in the wallow, looks like. So I'll show, get them distracted there by some pellets. I'll show you bee. I don't know why I've had bees around me all day. So I'll show you what I did this morning. When we first started having pigs on the farm here, I only had the one breed, which was the American Guinea Hog. Hey guys. And their babies were short, and so I only put wire on the bottom two gaps of the fence here. But with these Duroc crosses, they were getting through this area here. So what I had to do was I had to come out and I just grabbed some scrap wire that was on the property when we bought it, and used some hog rings and twisted the wire and everything to cover up that top slot there. Come on, bees. And the reason I'll do that is I'm gonna put my boar from my June litter in with those other two boars and his aunt, so that they can be isolated. He's getting tall, and I don't know if he's mature enough yet or not, but he's tall enough. That's him there. He's tall enough that he can actually mount the adults, and his siblings here are getting close to the age where they might actually start being fertile. So I want to isolate him out. All right, so we've got him isolated in there now. The next step is I need to get the bigger female out of here. Put her over with the other group. I don't know what is up with the bees today. So Now I've got the two that will be grown out a little bit faster paced, separated into this middle pin here. We've got the boar over there in the boar pin. He's trying to get out his old way. See if he can. I don't think he's strong enough. What he's done before is he's just moved stuff that I've put down here to block it off. And then the other one is, I know he can, or I know he could before slide out that top area on the gate. So now I'm gonna move this little girl over with the rest of the herd here, so she's not alone. Come on, sweetie. This is why I like to, I don't use, I know I've said it in previous videos, I don't use pellets much for the general population of my herd, but I do use it when they're piglets and to help them kind of build up a little bit, gain a little bit faster once they've been weaned. And I take that training when I'm feeding them at that stage. I get them used to following the shaker and paying attention to when I'm trying to move them around, and then it just makes it so much easier to move them at different stages in their life. You can see even the ones over here know what's going on, so they're coming over here as well. So we'll bring her into this group. Come on, girl. Nope, 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 nope. There's the mama there. So that was less than 5 minutes to get all 4 of those separated out how I wanted. And I'm not 100% sure which one I'm going to bring in to finish up just yet. I got to talk to the butcher and see what my butcher date is, and last I checked they were out until February, which is 3 months out roughly. So if I've got more time to finish one, I might pick one that has a little bit further to go. If I don't have don't have as much time, I might pick one that's a little bit more ready, which would be one of my older ones. So we'll keep you posted on that. I'm gonna let these guys back out into the center area here, at least for now, and we'll go inside the house and I'll show you what I've got going on in there today. All right, so we are back in the room that I was working on in my last video. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description. And what I've decided to do is I've measured and dry fitted a couple scrap pieces of wood. Let me grab the level here. And you can see this area here, we've got a pretty consistent gap. It may be slightly wider at the bottom than it is at the top there. On the left 2.5 feet, 3 feet maybe of this side. Now see up there the gap is hardly anything, and then there's a little bit of gap here, but then when you get over to this right here, there's no gap, at least on this board, and there's a slight gap here. So my plan is I'm going to find out where that spot is along this part of the wall and I'm just going to put up some 1/2-inch OSB scraps that I've got in here, and then I'll slap up a piece of drywall. I need to glue this into place, glue the other outlet into place with a 1/2-inch protrusion so that when the drywall sits on it, it'll be flush. And the rest of this going across is pretty plumb to the bottom wall. So we'll shim that out with some OSB, and then the same thing over here. I've got a gap right here that's about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to bring that over to this header for the window, and all the way up to the top. I'll have to measure, I'll have to move this stuff out of the way to see how far off we are on the top there. Down here on this part of the window, we're flush though, so that I'll scrape some of the excess silicone and paint and whatever that's around these old window joints, and see what we're working with. But I think I'm only going to have to shim out that corner and this corner, and then glue in these two junction boxes for the receptacles, and then I can start putting up some drywall. So I'll start over on this side, cut the piece to wherever my butt joint is going to be for the drywall, and then work my way over. And I think because of the height, I think I'm only going to, I may screw into this top board here on this plate across the way, but I'm not going to mess with screwing into this one, just because there are a couple different, slight gaps in between, and the drywall board should just float right over that. And on the outside, it should give the appearance of a relatively flush wall. I just want to get it up, have a consistent wall across the way, and make sure there's not any kind of waves and things like that, that at least can't be taken out with the mud work. So I'm going to get to that. All right, so I'll show you what I'm using for my spacers in the wall. This is actually an offcut from when we were doing the roof. So this is 15-30 seconds OSB, and then I've got the area by the window there is a little thinner than 1/2 inch, so I've got this leftover sheathing, and this is just a roughly, I don't know, 5-inch piece that was left off when we had to cut for the front under the porch area. And again, could have easily been discarded or whatever, but here's an opportunity where I'm using some scrap. And I've always got little projects here and there. That's the reason why I keep so much scrap around, is I've come to find that it's incredibly useful and cuts down on waste of cutting bigger pieces later on down the line. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure this up, cut it up, and go inside, get the nail gun ready and everything like that, so that I can attach it to the wall, and then we'll move on to the drywall. All right, so I couldn't find my brad nailer offhand, so I'm just going to be using my little pin nailer. It's not really that important because it's going to be reinforced with the drywall anyway. We're just tacking this up so that it's not going to fall off the wall before we get the drywall up. So so we've got that little wedge piece. I just cut that off, kind of flipped the triangle down into itself, and we are relatively flush all the way up to the top there. So call that good. Go over to this side. Alright, so there's a little bit of a extended gap over in this corner here, but we're just going to have drywall butted right up against it from this side here. So I'm going to go ahead and take another couple pieces there and run across the top there and figure out where I need to stop along the top edge there. It might need to go all the way to the edge of the header. Okay, so over along this side here, there is a little bit of a gap. What I'll do is I'll start putting up some drywall. The construction adhesive that I did have looks like it froze and busted the cartridge open, so I may have to hold off on that one today until I can run into town tonight. I'm meeting my wife and my son for dinner, so I'm already planning on heading that way. So I'll try to get as much as I can done. So what I'll probably do is I'll put up this piece over here and cut that to size, and then I'll come over to this corner here, and I've got an outlet box to cut out and get that butted up against the outside wall. And then I'll probably start over on this corner and work my way this way and see how a piece of drywall fits up against that, and if it looks like I need to rip down a piece of 2x or something like that, smaller than the 3/8 inch piece that I've got for with the siding that I'm using, then I'll do that. So I'm gonna get going on that and I'll keep you guys posted here. Okay, so I've got the first piece cut and I've only got it screwed in up on the top here, because here down I'm gonna actually have to use a rotary hammer and pre-drill the holes and then put the masonry screws in there. So another thing that I wanted to say was, for anchoring this to the studs, I actually put in about, I think it was 3 or 4 2-inch screws as opposed to standard 1 1/4 drywall screws, and then just the rest of the ones just to make sure that the drywall doesn't, or so that OSB that we only tacked up there with the pin nailer doesn't pop away from the wall itself. And again, that's kind of just to hold it until all the rest of the screws are in. And so this sheet is at least in place. Now I'm going to turn my attention to this one over here, I think, and I'll measure this one out, go ahead and cut that down, and I got to cut out the outlet box for it and fit that one up there, and that one's just standard drywall screws, so that one should be pretty easy. So I'll check back with you when I've got that one up. Alright, So we've got that piece in, and the outlet box is cut out. So next thing is I'm going to screw in the section here that has the masonry, that needs the masonry screws. So this actually requires a hammer drill or a rotary hammer, either way, and make sure that it's set to the hammer mode and its fastest speed. And let's get to it. Alright, so there we go. We got 6 screws in, nice and tight against the wall, and looking good. So now we'll move over to this side over here in this corner, and we'll put up a full sheet going across here, and I'll just cut out the hole for the window. But before I do that, I'm gonna have to move this stuff out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the first full sheet over here in this corner. So what's holding me up now is I need to go get some of that construction adhesive to go around the electrical boxes for the receptacles there, and then we'll come back to putting up a sheet here, cut out the outlet box, and then there'll be another full sheet here, cut out that outlet box, and then we'll go over into this corner, and then I've got a little bit of cleaning up I need to do over here in this corner. I need to move all this concrete out to my shop, and then we'll assess this corner over here to see if there's any spacer that needs to be added up at the top. But I don't think that we're going to need to do that. I'm going to call it for today. I'm going to go feed the animals and go have dinner with my family, go play with my son. It's really weird when he's not here, after going all throughout the week and getting up a couple times a night to tend to him and everything like that. I usually have it takes me a day to shut my brain off. So I didn't go to sleep early last night, but I did. Once I did sleep, I slept solid. I didn't have any interruptions, which I normally do when he's around. So a little bit bittersweet. I miss him, but I enjoy getting the sleep caught up. So we're gonna put a pin in it for today. I will pick up tomorrow and probably have put it in the same video. Well, I just finished moving all those concrete bags over to my shop building, and I noticed that one of the pigs that we moved today is back over with the siblings. All right, so here's what he's doing is he's just rolling this piece out of the way and digging his way out. So use this man door very often, so I don't mind it being a little bit more blocked off than ideal, but I gotta try to keep this guy in there if I can. Whoa, pumpkin. All right. Let's see if that keeps him out for a while. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess, or maybe even later tonight, but I'm about to do the evening chores. All right, so I am back from town. I've got some heavy-duty construction adhesive, and I've got a couple pieces of scrap drywall to use as spacers, and I've got some shims. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt all around the outside of this box, get it as clean as I can, and then set it in here the depth that I want. Stick a shim in there to just kind of hold it in place while it cures overnight, and I'll do the same thing to this one over here. So hopefully all goes well, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Alright, so real quick before I get started, I shim these out. This has been setting for a little over 12 hours, and they're nice and secure in there, so that's good. So all I have to do now is I'll just cut those shims off and get started drywalling. So this is the following morning here, so I'll get started. Alright, so it has been, I don't know, it's about 3 hours, 4 hours total of work time. I took a little bit of a break to get a little snack, but we've got all these sheets up, so I wanted to show you guys that. Got those outlet boxes cut out around the bottom. Those were a little bit bigger than the other outlet boxes I had been cutting, so I had to take a little bit extra time with that. And then for here, I just put up a full sheet. So I'll need to cut this extra on each side, but I'm gonna wait until after I have draped this off and do all my spraying, my texture and everything like that, and then I'll cut it out. And then that way it'll cut down on how much plastic I need to use. And what actually took the longest time was inside the closet here. So I cut off a full sheet here, cut off a full sheet on this side, but then on the back here, because it would be impossible anyway to kind of maneuver a full sheet in here. So I made use of some of the offcuts that were like 22.5 or 23 inches from having to cut off, like say in this corner and in this corner here where it was like 25 and some odd inches. So I got two pieces out of two pieces out of each offcut there. So it was two offcuts, and then I just took another piece of scrap from somewhere and just filled in the gap in the middle. So we are all positioned to come in here and start doing the mudding and taping, which is quiet, relatively quiet. I mean, there's some like scraping and stuff that I'll be doing on the walls, but that is something that I should be able to do when my son is sleeping at night. I could just do an hour or two here and there, and maybe even just put up like one coat in a night, and then wait till the next night, and then put up a second coat the next night, because it takes at least 2 coats, sometimes 3 or 4 coats, depending on what you're trying to cover up. So and I'll go ahead and show you guys. I haven't shown the living room. So in here, this is what I did earlier in the week. And I just put in a little test light up there. Obviously I still need to put a drywall piece up there. But I got all the big sheets up, and then that's where I've been storing my drywall to work on the secondary bedroom there. But we're all drywalled up into the vaulted ceiling here. So eventually I'll take some of the offcuts that are left over and fill in this spot here. Same thing on the other side, where this needs to be drywalled over, and then above the door and above this window still need to be filled in. So that'll all just be done with scrap offcut type stuff later on. I've got a couple decent sized pieces. This piece here will probably end up going up in the ceiling there. Here's an odd shaped offcut here because it was an angled cut. Then there's one behind it that's like 18.5 inches. So just trying to, now that we're getting close to the end of the work for drywall, at least I still have the bathroom to do, but there's not a ton in there to do. And then this will be, I think this was like 28.5. I think that scrap piece right there is what's going to go up above this door. So the plan is now that I'm going to work on doing the mudding and taping in the second bedroom here, and then go ahead and do my texture and then paint in this room. And then the idea is we'll move our bed and the crib into this room, and then that will free up some space. I'll move the stuff in the living room into our bedroom temporarily, or I may just figure out where it needs to go somewhere else if it's something I'm done working with. A lot of these tools, I've got nail guns, I've got you know, like oscillating tool, all kinds of stuff. But a lot of it is like there's the paint and there's drywall stuff. Here's like, that's for tile floor work, which we don't have the tile yet. So that might be something I look at. I had been looking at it a while ago, and the tile that we were really leaning towards had been at a certain price. It was like $1.09 a square foot. And then like right before I was going to buy it, it jumped up to $1.39 per square foot. So it may not seem like a big jump to some people, obviously, especially like, and I've spent more than $5 a square foot on flooring on previous properties, but one, with as much work as with as much money as we've put into this house so far, and how tight it's been, we've been paying off the 0% balance on the Home Depot, especially. And some of that balance is actually tied to our duplex property here in town. But I wanted to pay that down to avoid the promotional interest hitting after the 18-month or 24-month or whatever financing that they gave us. And so now that that has been paid down, that frees up that credit card again to be able to do a flooring purchase. So I may not be too concerned about the price now. I still think it's a good price, $1.39 a square foot for a flooring that you really like. But we're going to need to buy like 800 and I think it's like 800 square feet. I'll have to do the total calculations now that I'm really close to needing to do that project. But I still have, as I said in the previous video, I still have this apex here that needs to be dealt with, ground down, leveled out. This entire floor needs to be leveled out, and I'll do that before I move the furniture in here, and then we'll just end up sleeping in here for a little while all together again, and then eventually I'll switch to working on the drywall and the texture in the living room. And the hope is that I can get it done by Christmas. It is greatly that's greatly depending on me getting time to be able to work on it. But like I said, there's some stuff that I can do at night while my son is sleeping throughout the week. So it's not like it is on the weekends where I really need to have time to just, you know, put my nose to the grindstone and pound out like the drywall is, hanging the drywall is. So that's where we are for now. And I did notice that today that pig, or the little piglet boar that got out yesterday, and I put that bigger piece of concrete tubing over by the door, he is yet to get out today. So I think that might be at least a good enough fix until he grows big enough to where he's not going to be crawling underneath that door anyway. I'm going to sign off, and if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Please share this video with other people that you think might be interested in whatever it is that we're doing here on the farm. Check out some of our other videos as well. Right now I'm working on the house videos, but we've got animal videos and things like that of what's going on outside as well. And some of them are kind of a little bit of both. So, thanks for joining us, and as always, until next time, God bless.